got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White, you got literally, I would say what, 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
This guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in, and the angles needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be in a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par threes too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
He went bogey and double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access, only on SportsGrid.
The 5s, the 10s, the 20s, and the 40s, and you've got a couple that I love here, including a guy who has been rock solid at majors in Tom Kim.
Don't forget for a second that he finished top 5 when Phil won at Kiowa, and it's the same sort of sandy surface with push-up greens where there's a lot of awkward situational short game shots. The big rig, Harry Higgs, he was solid there, and he's playing some great golf right now.
Pharrell coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Level 3 has begun. The Edmonton Oilers comeback has begun as well. They've killed off 43 of their last 43 penalties, 2 shorthanded goals in the last 2 games, and 2 power play goals in Game 5 tonight. Hyman and Perry, special teams, is really starting to come into play for the Oilers. And ironically enough, that's why I thought the Oilers were going to win the series. For the record, I did pick the Oilers to win the series before it started, and it was not a good look, but we're sort of back into this thing. And in hindsight right now, the Dallas Mavericks really screwed me over because I played that parlay, both series to go over 5.5 games, and here we are. The Stanley Cup has gone over 5.5 games. If you're just joining us right now, the opening number was minus 122 for the Edmonton Oilers on Friday night. They're playing on Friday night. And a little bit of a layoff. They've got to travel once again, but there'll be a quick turnaround to Monday night if the Oilers do win on Friday night. As far as the series price is concerned, starting to get real right now. And the way I think about this series now, if Edmonton wins, and I should have put more, shoulda, coulda, woulda, whatever. Easy to say now, but I really liked Edmonton a lot tonight. I was locked in that Edmonton was going to win this game, that Edmonton has they figured it out, and that they're playing with house money. I really like we're going to drag them back to Alberta a bit. I like the way that they approach this. Yet now, Friday is like the series. It really is. The Panthers really could win in Edmonton. It's going to be difficult for the Oilers to keep up this intensity that they played with in the last 2 games, right? They were down, right? Game 4, they were playing with house money. Nobody believed it, and the Panthers sort of took the pedal off the metal, and they got smoked. Tonight, the Oilers had some confidence back, and they won the game. Now their confidence is back, but now you're going to have a hungry Florida Panther team. The Panthers could, they said all the right things about being hungry and stuff like that, but, right, now they really will be. Forget about winning the cup. They're tired of getting their ass handed to them on the ice and losing all these battles and getting scored on all the time. So I think they're going to sort of refocus here. This is going to be a real challenge for the Edmonton Oilers now on Friday. I think they can do it. And it's a disadvantage to the Oilers that they need to wait as long as they do again. You know, I get that it's a long trip and stuff, but it's too bad we're not getting every 48 hours a little bit here a couple of more times. We really should. But a lot of people thought that the Oilers would lose the momentum because they were off since Saturday coming into tonight. And they clearly didn't. So we'll see what happens on Friday and how it carries over. But unlike the NBA, we've got a series, and it was big-time drama late tonight. The Florida Panthers nearly came back, but Skinner was unbelievable for the Edmonton Oilers. Skinner made one big save after another. Complete team effort. The Oilers power play, special team, shorthanded, all that. They were great. But then they got great goaltending late in the game. You know what I mean? You need everybody to step up if you're going to win a Stanley Cup. But the synergy continues right now. We talked about the largest margin of victory in an elimination game. The last time it happened was 1942. Incidentally, the last time someone came back in the Stanley Cup Finals. Let's roll. Level 3 has begun. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. We've got a series on our hands right now. As the Edmonton Oilers have won back-to-back games, down 3-0, are now going back to Edmonton, Alberta on Friday night. So, in other words, the Friday Night Freak Show is going to be lit because the Stanley Cup is going to be in the building once again, and there's going to be like 19,000 freaks in Edmonton, Alberta, in the building again. And just to set the context for people that are joining us right now, we were taking a look at ticket prices in Edmonton. Just wondering, all right, how much is it going to cost to get into the building? And it's back to about $2,000 for the cheapest ticket right now. And this is literally in the upper deck. It's $6,000 for the lower bowl right now, like behind the bench area, and the prime seats are going for about $6,000, and I think they might break a record as far as beer sold actually on Friday night. There's one thing about an Edmonton crowd, if you notice, everybody is double fisting. It's almost like a prerequisite. You have to expose yourself, or you have to dress up like the Stanley Cup, or you have to always have 2 drinks in your hand at all times while you are in that arena. Although I think we can say that about a lot of hockey arenas. So Stanley Cup finals are lit, and we'll get into that. But on a more somber note, but a celebratory note as well, to celebrate a great life and a great career, the awesome Willie Mays has passed away, unfortunately, at 93 years old. The great Willie Mays, one of the greatest baseball players, if not the greatest baseball player ever, debatable. And we don't want to get into this and that and who's the best. He was one of the best ever, and that's not up for debate. Arguably the greatest defensive player ever. I don't really think that's up for debate. And also one of the classiest individuals and best ambassadors for the game ever. And I don't think that's up for debate. There's not a lot of athletes in our generation and in our lifetimes and in all of our generations and in our lives that everybody likes, right? Like there's certain players, right? And everything is so polarized now, and there's so much disdain, and you know what I mean? There's just so much vindictiveness and venom out there for everybody. And there's not a lot of athletes. There's certain, like Magic Johnson. Everybody loves Magic Johnson. Barry Sanders, right? I got to tell you, I got a Warren Moon jersey, and Houston Oiler Warren Moon jersey. Never had one person ever tell me, you know what? I hate Warren Moon. Screw the Houston Oilers. Everybody says, I love Warren Moon, and I love that jersey. Great jersey. And you don't have to be a Houston Oiler fan, right? Willie Mays, Jackie Robinson, you know what I mean? There's just certain players where it's like, wow, hey, Karen, and larger-than-life icons. And, forget about their statistics, but just the actual name, you know what I mean? There's certain names, Muhammad Ali, right? Willie Mays, Jackie Robinson, Babe Ruth. There's certain iconic, larger-than-life names and Willie and personalities, and Willie Mays, very humble man, for such an iconic superstar as well. 24-time All-Star. Put that in perspective. 24-time All-Star. Led the National League in stolen bases 4 times. Led the National League in home runs 4 times. Obviously, with the most iconic baseball catch in the history of the game in 1954. Ironically enough, the only year he ever won a World Series championship as well. But just, an absolute icon. Sad news, but 93 years old, and a little bit ironic as well, as they were about to honor him in Birmingham, as the Negro Leagues are now getting a lot more recognition, and good on Major League Baseball for giving them the recognition. But unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be. Yet, what a run it's been over the last couple of weeks of these legends. Jerry West. We're talking about a guy that was the logo. It doesn't get any more. It's like Jerry West is basketball. Right, Bill Walton passes away, and now the great Willie Mays passes away. So our condolences to the Mays family. But on a celebratory note, baseball celebrates one of the greatest careers and best people ever to be in Major League Baseball. A lot of stuff to unpack on the other side. Let's do this thing. This is Sports Rage.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White, you got literally, I would say 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
This guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in, and the angles he needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par threes too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
He went bogey, double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access, only on SportsGrid.
The 5s, the 10s, the 20s, and the 40s, and you've got a couple that I love here, including a guy who has been rock solid at majors in Tom Kim.
Don't forget for a second that he finished top 5 when Phil won at Kiowa, and it's the same sort of sandy surface with push-up greens where there's a lot of awkward situational short game shots. The big rig, Harry Higgs, he was solid there, and he's playing some great golf right now.
Pharrell coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. Shout out to all of our AM radio affiliates joining us, including everybody on the Mightier 1090 SoCal in the house, ESPN Radio. Our boy Rick Saratello will step up in a little bit later on. We'll talk some football. But tonight, we discussed the unfortunate passing of Willie Mays. But we also have the Stanley Cup, in which the Stanley Cup has been extended. We're going back to Edmonton for a Game 6. And unlike the NBA playoffs, in which there was absolutely zero drama, and there were more 20-point blowouts than there ever was before, And speaking of which, actually, I'll get back to the Stanley Cup in a second. And, it's only been one day, but we're all sick of the Boston Celtics already. Did the Celtics win their 18th championship or their first championship? Like, for the love of God, act like you've been there before. Like, even the Celtics Twitter account is crying. They put together a montage of a bunch of people in the media. Oh, I know. Nobody believed in us. No. You jackasses were favorites to win the NBA championship like for the last 4 consecutive years in a row. All right? You finally did it. Okay. Oh, hey. I told you guys. Remember, I warned you. Remember when they won the Eastern Conference, Jaylen Brown was already telling his teachers to go screw themselves and stuff. And I said, oh, boy, here it comes. Just wait. But I don't even have a problem. Well, Jason Tatum's getting lit up everywhere, and he's getting criticized and stuff. But Tatum is just sort of a cheesy, like tacky, you know what I mean? Nice dude. And tacky's not the right word. Cheesy. You know what I mean? What's the word? Sort of Russell Wilson-ish. You know what I mean? He's a super great athlete, but like Jason Tatum, he's not like, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah, this guy, you want to go hang out with him in Vegas for the weekend. You know what I'm saying? Super nice guy. Right? Like, I'm not, you know what I mean? But like, you know what I'm saying? That's just sort of like, people are like, oh, how phony, he's reading off these quotes and stuff. No, that's just who he is, right? He worships Kobe, he looks up, he's a great Celtic, like, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I don't have any problem with him at all. Jaylen Brown's going to be on the big revenge tour. I don't have any problem with that. My deal more is sort of the Celtic, some of the older, you know what I mean? The Celtic Twitter and Celtic fans, and what are you going to say about us now and stuff? It's like, all right, you won. All right, like, yeah, you won the championship, but like, I've given the Celtics credit for it. But at the same point in time, it's like, if you guys want to keep crying about this, it's like, listen, you got a free pass there, all right? You won. All right, you beat the Dallas Mavericks and Kyrie and Luka, right? Like, you got a free pass throughout the entire Eastern Conference, but hey, you earned it. But this whole nobody believed in us stuff, you were overwhelming freaking favorites to win. That's the one thing that annoys me. When coaches bust that stuff out after and teams and, we kept receipts and stuff. Kept receipts of what? Of you guys being overpriced for the last 3, 4, 5 years of your careers, and you finally actually won one, so now we're all supposed to bow down? But that's the way it works. And we have to deal with it. But as far as, the Celtics, it's like, you have won like 17 times before. You're supposed to be that sort of, we're above it all. But no, they got to put together a clip of like Skip Bayless. Like, who cares what Skip Bayless said? Or like Stephen A. Smith and, oh, you all doubted us. So you took one clip of one show that somebody ripped you after you lost a game or something. But this is the world that we're in right now. Everybody's incredibly thin-skinned, and everything's an insult, and we hold everything against everybody, and that's what motivates people. Because making $52 million a year isn't motivation enough, evidently. So the Edmonton Oilers, I don't think they're motivated by anything besides trying to win the Stanley Cup. I think the Oilers do a good job of tuning out the outside distractions. I don't think the Florida Panthers have done a very good job of tuning out the distractions over the last week or so here. And I say week because these games take forever in between games, but I talked about it last week. They were caught up in the party stuff, man, right? Oh, you know what? We've got to get our families here for the Cup celebration. That was their big concern going into the weekend. And then he got punched in the mouth. And then it was the same thing. Anybody that really follows this stuff, and a lot of people, talk about metrics and computer and different ways of handicapping, but I'm a big sort of like, all right, what's going on now type of deal? What's the mindset of everybody now? And I could tell that the Florida Panthers were still talking about the elbow room or whatever the hell they were going to go after, right? The Panthers' wives were telling people in the media how, they're dreading having to go back to Edmonton, to win the Cup potentially and stuff. It's like, now, all right, you know what? You got to worry about just winning, not worried about where you're going to party after, because, we're happy we're going to party in South Beach after if you win. But the pressure is now on the Edmonton Oilers for real, right? They were playing with house money the other night. They were playing with house money once again tonight. Now it's a real series. There's no more, we're lucky. Hey, let's just see what happens. Saturday, it was let's see what happens. Tonight was, hey, you know what? Let's see if we can do, let's see what happens, Now it's not see what happens. Now it's like, guys, if we win 2 more games, we win the Stanley Cup. So it's real right now. And I was the one that brought this up a lot. And I do believe in, sort of the past synergies and stuff, because I am such a sports buff, not just from a betting perspective, but a sports fan, and how history repeats itself often in sports. As I talked about, the Edmonton Oilers, every time they had a 3-game losing streak, 5-0, 3-0, and 16-0 with 3-game losing streaks. So they have one more streak left in them, and so far so good. But like Dave Mustaine said, so far so good, so what? Unless you finish the job. So the Oilers are minus 122 favorites to finish the job on Friday night back home. The Panthers are plus 102. The total is 5.5 in this hockey game. As far as the Conn Smythe is concerned, wild swings, very similar to the NBA and the big debate whether Tatum should have got it because of all of his numbers. But Connor McDavid is now minus 150 to win. And anyone who tunes into the show, if you've noticed over the last couple of nights, I brought it up about Connor McDavid could win the Conn Smythe even if the Oilers don't win. And nobody has agreed. Everybody just sort of rolls it off. Well, okay. He's actually the favorite right now to win the Conn Smythe trophy. Rick Saratella steps up and in on the other side. Bring it.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got, literally, I would say what? 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
This guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in and the angles he needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par 3s too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
He went bogey, double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access. Only on SportsGrid.
The 5s, the 10s, the 20s, and the 40s, and you've got a couple that I love here, including a guy who has been rock solid at majors in Tom Kim.
Don't forget for a second that he finished top 5 when Phil won at Kiowa, and it's the same sort of sandy surface with push-up greens where there's a lot of awkward situational short game shots. The big rig, Harry Higgs, he was solid there, and he's playing some great golf right now.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the Rick Saratellas, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The founder of the NFL Draft Bible, allaccessfootball.com, now a scout with the Edmonton Elks as well. Rick, it's always a pleasure, my man. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, let's do it, baby. Fresh off the Jersey Shore, ready to chop it up, talk some football with you, brother.
Let's start off with the UFL as another season has come to a close, and it's pretty clear that Skip Holtz is the king of spring. His 3rd consecutive championship with the Birmingham Stallions. Very impressive accomplishment. A a dominant performance in the championship game. Have to tip our cap to Skip Holtz and the job that he's done the past 3 years with the Birmingham Stallions.
No doubt about it. I mean, 3 years in a row, they've won it every single year. I thought it was interesting. They put the graphic up with Skip Holtz, Lou Holtz championships compared versus Bum Phillips and Wade Phillips. And you know, hey, Wade Phillips, Bum Phillips, they've been going 90 years, I think, 90 seasons.
Oh, what a job Wade did, too, to get the Brahmas to the championship game. Unbelievable stuff. They were predicted to be the worst team in the league before the year started.
That's right. And I believe Hines Ward turned the job down. He didn't want to take a pay decrease. In comes Wade Phillips, ultimate player coach, right? And, you know, I'll tell you what, 1.6 million average with the ratings, the TV ratings that is, considering this game was over by halftime, that's very good. And I believe that the UFL will continue to squeeze another season. You know, I saw Moose Johnson come out and say there won't be expansion, but they're trending in the right direction, right? Like they've got the TV ratings there. I think they've got a marketing issue with some of the ticket sales. And are they in the right markets or not? It doesn't matter because it seems like they're going to move forward with another season of this.
It's a television-based league. I think they could do a little bit better job potentially in the markets that they're in. And I wouldn't want to be expanding if I was them either right now, but I would be considering relocations and the teams just in different markets. I mean, how do you not have a team in Los Angeles? How do you not have a team in New York, right? There's certain markets and that have already proven that they're not going to the games. But it's a television-based league. And also, I think they're trying to develop themselves into somewhat of a developmental league for the National Football League. The Rock has been pretty clear about that. That was his big goal for the XFL, a second chance, right? And a second chance wasn't just to play in the XFL, but to make it back to the NFL or potentially the NFL for the first time. So Jake Bates, the kicker from the Michigan Panthers that we spent a lot of time talking about, gets a 2-year deal with the Detroit Lions. But Rick, you're a scout. You've been around a million kickers. You've been in a million football camps, and I'm sure you've seen a million guys drill 62-yarders before. And with all due respect, it's a little bit different in the National Football League. The level of pressure, right? I mean, a lot of people can kick the football. There's kids in college that can drill 57-yarders. It's a difference between doing it at Toledo and the MAC on a Tuesday night and, you know what, doing it at Cowboy Stadium on Monday Night Football. We'll find out if Bates can handle the pressure.
That's true. I think Detroit was confident enough to let their kicker go. I will say this. I mean, this guy Bates, he's had ice water in his veins. Like you see coaches try to freeze him and call timeout, and he's had to re-kick 60-yard field goals, and he does it no problem. I mean, this guy's kicking 60-yard field goals, and he could sneeze another 10 yards, like no problem. So
he wasn't the only one, Rick, and I'm giving him credit because he did a great job. But the kickers in the UFL were very good. They had a higher average. They had a higher average of 60-yard kicks than in the NFL. But there's less pressure, bro.
No, I'm telling you right now, it's the insecurity of NFL coaches. NFL kickers can do it, but NFL coaches are a little bit hesitant, a little bit more insecure. I'm telling you, NFL kickers can do it. I see street free agents do it all the time. It's the fact that there is no job security on the line in the UFL. I can try to kick her out there 64 yards. I'm not losing my job, right? So we get.
But you're right. It's different. It's different in the NFL. You miss a couple of times, and that's it. And then they're bringing in somebody else. That's just the nature of the business, right? So he did get a couple of $100K guaranteed at least. So
Well, and the higher you move up, the more pressure there is, the slimmer margin for error, right? But in the UFL, they've given him the opportunity to showcase that leg. He's got a boomerang. I mean, this guy, he's impressive.
No, he proved it. And I tell you what, he's a very grounded and religious man as well. So it's not like he's going to blow up with fame.
got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White, you got literally, I would say what, 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
This guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in and the angles he needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par threes too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
He went bogey, double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access. Only on SportsGrid.
The 5s, the 10s, the 20s, and the 40s, and you've got a couple that I love here, including a guy who has been rock solid at majors in Tom Kim.
Don't forget for a second that he finished top 5 when Phil won at Kiowa, and it's the same sort of sandy surface with push-up greens where there's a lot of awkward situational short game shots. The big rig, Harry Higgs, he was solid there, and he's playing some great golf right now.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. Shout out to all of our AM radio affiliates. We're talking football now with Rick Saratella. I want to get to some NFL football, a little CFL as well. But as far as the UFL is concerned, talking about Skip Holtz, hell of a job that he's done. He's done it with different players as well. It's almost, and his experience as a college coach clearly helps that he's able to put together a new team on a yearly basis. There's been some carryover. But a new team on a yearly basis, a couple of different quarterbacks along the way. And this time, it was Adrian Martinez. Matt Corral got in there a bit as well. So it was sort of both these guys played through the year, but it was Adrian Martinez who won the MVP. Where does he stand right now? Tom Brady handed him the MVP trophy and said, hey, best of luck moving forward, as in, let's see what happens with your career now if you get a shot. Yeah. Will he get a shot? What about Adrian Martinez, or does he need to do it again next year and then get a shot?
Well, I think, first of all, how about we'll put Skip Holtz up there with Joe Gibbs, right? Winning 3 championships with 3 different quarterbacks. He did it with Alex Magoo, Byron Scott, Adrian Martinez, Joe Gibbs
Matt
did
Corral.
it with 3 different right? Matt Corral. So, you have that connection there. But, with Adrian Martinez, there's no doubt about it. This guy can play at the NFL level. I mean, he's got that dual threat ability, extend plays, buy time in the pocket, can make all the throws. Now, he's not going to wow you in any one area, right? Like he doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not the most accurate passer, but he finds a way to get the job done, right? And to me, I'm looking around the league in terms of a backup quarterback. Adrian Martinez can definitely compete for a spot there. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, durability, availability is your best ability when it comes to the National Football League. And that's always been the issue with Adrian Martinez.
And he's shown the physical tools. It was tough for him in Nebraska. He sort of became the face of Nebraska's failures, which, wasn't really fair, right? It was during the Scott Frost era. They weren't really good. And let's be real, Martinez was running for his life when he was on Nebraska. Looked better at K-State, but like you said, with great coaching and around quality talent, he can run an offense for you. and no doubt could be a third-string quarterback in the National Football League. When you look at his physical,
he
you know what I mean? Like, let's be real.
backup.
And he can compete for a second string, but he's got to get in the building first, right? That's the way it works.
That's right. You get your foot in the door, but I know Tony Rasiopi. I mean, Adrian Martinez has been working out numerous off seasons here in New Jersey, right in my backyard with Tony Rasiopi, improving his game. Same quarterback coach as Tommy Cutlets there in New Jersey. And I would say, like, you know, Adrian Martinez could step into a quarterback situation and raise the level of competition, right? Because if he's not the number 2, he could certainly be a practice squad guy. But you see the way that he came in, he won ball games, the team rallied around him. To me, in terms of like a modern day NFL quarterback, he possesses all the traits that you ask for.
Rick Saratella kicking to us. So speaking of modern day quarterbacks, Trevor Lawrence, you and I haven't spoken since Trevor Lawrence got paid the amount of money that he did. Now it's Tua's turn coming up next, and it really is amazing, isn't it? It's right place at the right time. Whether you're the best quarterback in the National Football League or not, as long as you don't completely suck and it's time to get paid, you're going to become the highest paid player in the league, which is a pretty crazy precedent to set on a contract by contract basis. But that's where we are. You know, here we are right now. But what's your take on Trevor Lawrence?
Can he win ball games? Can he keep you competitive? Can you get you to the playoffs? Absolutely, and that's what a lot of owners look for. If you're looking for greatness, if you're looking for the Vince Lombardi Trophy at the end of the season, I don't know if he's shown me that he can do that, right? But I think in terms of what the Jaguars did, they paid a man. They got in front of the situation ahead of time, because if they waited, they would only have to pay more if they want to keep him. And so the decision basically comes down to... You're
right. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. The longer you wait, the more you pay. That's the way it works.
That's absolutely... And Dallas is going to find that out.
That's how you read my mind. It's like, Jerry, you're on the clock here. So it almost tells me he knows this and he's not paying, because the price only goes up whenever... Dude, these other guys sign these deals. Dak Prescott, say what you will about him, his numbers are better than theirs.
Right. So if you take, and if you're Dak Prescott's agent, you're taking these numbers and you're saying, hey, well, my guy is performing at a level of guys that are making $50 million a year, so he should get paid $55 or $60 million. Now, if Dallas would have done this deal last year, they would have probably paid him $45 million a year. Now you go into this offseason, I don't even care what the outcome is. You're already looking at a $60 million per year price tag, right? So unless Dak Prescott wins the Super Bowl, he will no longer be in Dallas. And Dallas will then be looking for the next guy, or maybe it's Trey Lance. I don't know. But, you know, that's the situation you're in with a quarterback. If you're in the top half of the league, you're a $40 million plus per year quarterback. And so can you win ball games with Trevor Lawrence? Yes. Can you make the playoffs with Trevor Lawrence? Yes. Can you win the Super Bowl with Trevor Lawrence? Probably not.
And he was a winner in high school. He was a winner, obviously, with Clemson. One of the most heavily hyped quarterbacks, although, everyone does this every couple of years. Now it's Caleb Williams. But some people were putting Trevor Lawrence on the same pedestal as Andrew Luck coming into the National Football League.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, it was sort of the same type of, he's a can't-miss, superstar, generational, next-level quarterback. And he hasn't been. Let's call it out for what it is.
No, he hasn't been a next-level quarterback. I think he's shown that he's an efficient quarterback, that he's a winning quarterback, and I don't think that his rookie season being in that Urban Meyer program did him any favors, right? I thought that was like 2 steps back.
And that is a very good defense. That's right. Almost like not fair to him that he started off with that.
Yeah. Two steps back to take a step forward. And I'll tell you another thing, like, let's call a spade for what a spade is. Like, you talk to coaches, and hey, I'm a scout, but you talk to coaches, and like, a lot of them don't really respect Doug Peterson. They're like, hey, he bamboozled everybody, pulled the wool over the eyes when he won the Super Bowl with the Eagles. So like, Peterson feels comfortable with this guy. He feels like he can win. you want to keep Peterson comfortable, right? And like, is Jacksonville in a position? Doug Peterson, I mean, I don't know how old he is. He's got to be close to 60. I can't imagine Jacksonville wants to go and start over with a new quarterback next year, an older,
he's the face of their franchise. The Cons are comfortable with him. But you're right, though. Listen, as far as Peterson is concerned, at the time, I gave Frank Reich a lot of credit. Right? At the time when they won the Super Bowl, with that football team, I gave Frank Reich a lot of credit. And two things to be right at the same time. Frank Reich could have deserved a lot of that credit. It didn't mean that Frank Reich should have been a head coach. Maybe Frank Reich was in a perfect situation as being the offensive coordinator like he was, right?
Yeah, I mean, I could say a lot of guys like that. Todd Bowles, perfect example. Great coordinator, not the best head coach. And so,
listen, Todd Bowles made me some money last year. All right, we're not. Hey, who won that division last year, Saratella? Who won that? Who won? Can't believe I'm standing up for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but here I am. Hey, but put some respect.
Mr. Personality.
Him and Baker Mayfield, the two most disrespected. Just, you know what I mean? And speaking of getting paid, Baker got paid. As well.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get to some more football. Ayuk wants to get paid, and he says the Niners don't want to do it. He told Jaden Daniels, who's a good friend of his, and they released the video of him telling them, they told me they don't even want me back.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got literally, I would say what? 5 guys that can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach. That, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
This guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in and the angles he needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par threes too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
He went bogey, double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access, only on SportsGrid.
The 5s, the 10s, the 20s, and the 40s, and you've got a couple that I love here, including a guy who has been rock solid at majors in Tom Kim.
Don't forget for a second that he finished top 5 when Phil won at Kiowa, and it's the same sort of sandy surface with push-up greens where there's a lot of awkward situational short game shots. The big rig, Harry Higgs, he was solid there, and he's playing some great golf right now.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Morency. So we were just talking about Brandon Ayuk, and he wants more money from the San Francisco 49ers. They don't have enough money to go around to pay everybody. And remember, as Rick Saratella, NFL Draft Bible, in the house with us, at the time, a lot of people, including in the Bay Area, were outraged that they drafted a wide receiver, right? When they drafted the Pearsall kid from the Florida Gators. Yet they had a reason why, and it's always comical, like when fans flip out about draft picks and or contract negotiations. when a team is aware of the big picture and how the cycle will continue. So how do you think this is going to play out with Ayuk? We've seen this with Samuel before, which he vowed, I'll never play for them ever again. And, well, he plays for them right now. So we've seen this with San Francisco before. What do you think happens with Ayuk?
Well, I think there's not enough cheddar to go around and fulfill the cheese platter here. I mean, you paid McCaffrey. You got to pay Debo. Now Ayuk wants to get paid. Purdy's going to be due a paycheck here. You got the tight end is making money. So I think that Ayuk is out the door because that video that's been flowing around X or Twitter or whatever, social media, it's so staged. Like, it's so weird to me that it's edited, this phone call with, I don't know. I mean, call me crazy. If I was making a personal phone call, I wouldn't have somebody recording it. But
When Ayuk and Jane Daniels doing a FaceTime together, yeah. And then somebody recording them talking, and Ayuk has no problem with being recorded talking about his personal business.
It's so weird. It's like a personal Hard Knocks. Like, hey, I'm going to make this phone call to Jaden Daniels. Make sure you capture it so we can release it. Like, it's just so weird.
That's him. That's him sitting on the couch almost smoking a few blunts going, you know what? Watch this. Watch what I'm going to do. You know what I'm saying? He goes, I'm going to get this thing going. Like, seriously. No, you know what I mean? I'm going to get this thing going, and this is how I'm going to do it. And you know what? But it's kind of like Jaden Daniels hasn't played a game in the league yet, and here he is. He's part of this. That's what I was like, man, this guy hasn't even played yet. He's already getting sucked into the drama of the NFL. So everyone's like, Ayuk to the Commanders. Ayuk to the Commanders.
Well, obviously, I mean, Ayuk obviously, I think, would want to go to the Commanders if he's staging a phone call to Jaden Daniels saying, oh, my team. He's trying to dictate the course the route that he wants to take, I think, is what I'm thinking. He's probably looking like, hey, Washington doesn't really have a number one. Maybe they got some cap space. I don't know. But the fact that Ayuk just put that out there, to me, his camp or his agent or his team or his whoever's advising him is saying, hey,
it would be exciting for the Commanders. It would be the type of thing that they haven't done in a while. You want to get this party going there, right? You got this star young quarterback coming in, and you bring in who he's good friends with, and, you know, Ayuk wants to be there. And that's another thing. It's not like people line up and say, hey, I want to play for the Commanders either. So if I'm the Commanders and a stud player wants to play for me, I'm going to listen.
Right. Well, it comes with a paycheck, right? But the Commanders owners there have deep pockets, and that would be exactly what they need to inject some excitement into the organization. Because right now, you look at Philadelphia, you look at Dallas, you know, maybe they're a coin toss with the Giants, but if they get Ayuk, then all of a sudden,
exactly.
All of a sudden, they're in
the Giants in Washington. Rick Saratella kicking it with us. So, Ladd McConkey, speaking of wide receivers out of the SEC, here's a guy that both you and I talked about a lot, and very similar to Brock Bowers in the sense, all business. And I saw a quote from Devontae Adams, and they said, you know, what do you think of Brock Bowers? He goes, I got a nickname for him, BM, businessman. He goes, this guy lives, breathes, sleeps football. All he cares about is football. He talks about his football. And there's some of these guys. That's why the Georgia Bulldogs were who they were. Yeah, they got a lot of flash and sizzle and stuff, but they also have a lot of high football IQ guys. And McConkey was one of them. Bowers is one of them. But listen, Georgia beat Michigan and Harbaugh 2 years ago in the playoffs. So, and Harbaugh's, you know, recruited guys, played against them, coached against them, etc. So he knew all about the Georgia Bulldog guys. They've already fallen in love with McConkey, so much so that they made him the highest paid 34th pick ever as far as the guaranteed contract is concerned. And supposedly he's already Herbert's favorite wide receiver in camp.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I think the Chargers came into the draft getting rid of those veterans, knowing that they were going to have the opportunity to get a guy like McConkey. And let's be honest, they overdrafted him according to the board, according to the consensus that was out there. They overdrafted him. But I think this guy, McConkey, might lead all rookie wide receivers in receptions. I compare him to Percy Harvin. I know a lot of people haven't put that out there, but in terms of what he can do, playing inside, playing outside, taking a bubble screen and turning it into a first down on the end arounds, the chicanery. If you want to get involved with this guy, like you've seen that at Georgia, this guy can not only work the short and intermediate game, but he can take the bubbles and the screen passes and make big plays out of them. I think McConkey is going to be a big time player in the National Football League.
Rick Saratella joining us, and Sean Merriman is a friend of the program, Charger legend, joins us like once a month, and he's been around the team a little bit, and he basically said, "Listen, I'm not promising any wins and losses record, but there's a noticeable difference with Harbaugh in the building right now, as far as the attitude, the physicality, the preparation, the expectations from the players on and how they go about things." Everything is different. And it's funny because Harbaugh was super cool until it started. And he's like, all right, stop the music. Everything's done. Close this. Like, he got hardcore with them out of the blue. And, football players like that, actually. They want to know that they're going in the right direction. So, man, time's flying by right now, Rick. And I can't believe, speaking of time flying by, we're already going into week 3 of the CFL season. It's unbelievable. But here we are. The Edmonton Elks, your Edmonton Elks, 0-2 on the season. Another really heartbreaking close loss last week against the defending champion Montreal Alouettes. This week on the road, which sometimes I think could be a good thing to get away from home sometimes. On the road against the Toronto Argonauts. What are your thoughts on the game this week? You got about it.
You got Porzingis, you got Holiday, you got Derek White. You got literally, I would say what? 5 guys can get you 20 points in a game?
I know people will say it's, only one guy. I don't believe that, Coach, that, one guy, those days are over, in my opinion. Like, a Bill Russell, a Wilt Chamberlain.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
This guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in, and the angles needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par 3s too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
He went bogey, double, par, birdie, bogey. Thomas Dietrich's all over the place here today.
This golf course is so volatile where it can make you look like a fool in just a matter of minutes. And, you look at a guy like Thomas Dietrich. He's right there tied for the lead or whatever it was, and now he's like 4 or 5 over in the wink of an eye.
In-game live, all access, only on SportsGrid.
The 5s, the 10s, the 20s, and the 40s, and you've got a couple that I love here, including a guy who has been rock solid at majors in Tom Kim.
Don't forget for a second that he finished top 5 when Phil won at Kiowa, and it's the same sort of sandy surface with push-up greens where there's a lot of awkward situational short game shots. The big rig, Harry Higgs, he was solid there, and he's playing some great golf right now.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Thanks to Rick Saratella for joining us. Can't wait for football to begin. College football. I got college football fever, actually, right now. The Michigan Wolverines got a big-time quarterback recruit. Brady Hart out of Florida, state champion, 14-1 last year in his first year as a starter. All the major teams wanted to get him, and the Michigan Wolverines pulled it off. So it was a big score. College football rapidly approaching, but there's so much stuff going on, actually. We got caught up in the Stanley Cup Finals. Shout out to Rick Saratella for joining us. The Olympics are around the corner, and There's a lot of talk about Caitlin Clark not being on the U.S. team. And I actually get why she's not. But anything about Caitlin Clark, people want to debate and try to milk and, whatever, and try to get clicks for. But Bryson DeChambeau, not on the U.S. team. And this is more interesting in a way because Wyndham Clark is in and DeChambeau is out, even though he won a U.S. Open. And, he was, second in 6 in the majors this year. He's clearly like the hottest American golfer right now, along with Scottie Scheffler, right? And then you got Xander Schauffele. And Bryson's not on the team because he's in LIV, right? Because they go by the rankings and he doesn't get credit for playing on the LIV tour. And, part of me, from a competitive standpoint, I understand it. If you're the USA, you want your best players there possible, don't you? But at the same point in time, you have a structure, and everybody knew the agreement about how you become the best player. It was as far as rankings are concerned. And, I see a lot of people in the golf world are upset about DeChambeau, and I got no beef with the dude. And in fact, I told you guys last week I thought he was going to win. So I got no personal beef with him. I don't care you play on a LIV or don't play on a LIV and all that type of stuff. But at the same point in time, it's a little bit hard. You lose the Patriot card, bro. You just do, right? You know what I mean? You can cry about, we got to fix this and the rankings and the system that they have, and fine. But at the same point in time, you left, like you specifically went and joined a foreign tour against America, so to speak. You know what I mean? And now, so I get it. I get both sides of it. I really do. And I personally don't care. I'm not a diehard golf fan in which I really don't care where Jon Rahm plays, right? I don't care if Jon Rahm doesn't play. You know what I'm saying? But I am interested in the Olympics. And I get the U.S. wanting and people, wanting the best players to represent the team as possible. But, really, if you go to the LIV Tour, can you really cry after about not, playing on Team America after? I don't think so. My own personal opinion. Just for the record, I wanted to just throw that out there. Euro Cup soccer. This stuff is lit. For people who think it's a slow time in the sports year, well, you're not a real sports fan then because there's a ton of stuff going on. Thursday is going to be crazy. You got Italy and Spain and in England. What is it? England and Denmark, Canada and Argentina, and the Copa. The Copa starts on Thursday night. But as far as the Euro goes tomorrow, the first 2 matches feel kind of chalky here in that I think that Croatia is going to beat Albania. Croatia at minus 225. Germany's going to beat Hungary. I'm surprised Germany's only minus 125 at minus 1.5 against Hungary. I know Hungary don't suck, but Germany should win by more than 1 goal tomorrow. But a parlay with Croatia and Germany is minus 132. And the last match of the day is Scotland and Switzerland. Scotland got absolutely lit up by the Germans in the first match. But it was the opening match of the tournament. It was in Germany. The wheels just sort of fell off, right? Scotland aren't that bad. It was a 5-1 game. And in fact, it was only an own goal, actually, that got them the goal. But it was a 5-1 match. Scotland had a team meeting only after. And, and they actually admitted that they got overwhelmed and they were nervous. They said, quote, the moment got the best of us. It was, the Germans got it rolling, etc. They'll be much better. Plus, Switzerland aren't nearly as explosive as Germany is. So, by nature, this game's going to be, goals going to be tougher to come by. I think Scotland are live at plus 1.5. I don't think they're going to. I don't think they get blown out. They could draw. They might lose by 1. But that's I'm not throwing Switzerland in any parlays. But follow me on Twitter at SportsRage. We went 3-0 today. We told you Turkey was going to win. We took the Czech Republic plus 1.5 and Portugal and the Czech Republic over 2.5. We'll keep it rolling tomorrow. Other than that, you're on your own. Oh, yeah, take to win the cup at plus 280. Later.